Good morning and welcome back to the channel. My name is Deborah, aka the Sunsetgirlcreates, and today we are going to be working on our swallowtail sweater. It is a color work sweater. I have gotten quite a few rows down, so this is where we currently are. You can see all that beautiful, gorgeous color work going on. And then we've got the start of the butterfly right here. So we have the bottom of the butterfly. Right in here, you're starting to see the wings come about, okay? Right there and right there. There's our wings. So that's the bottom of our wings coming together. We are on an increase row. Through this process, I've been doing yarn overs for my make ones or for my additional stitch, and then all I do is on the next round knit through the back loop and it twists and it looks fine. That doesn't leave any holes in your pattern, and I really like how it turns out that way. So that's the way I've chosen to do it. If you have a different way you prefer to do it on your sweaters, feel free to do so. I know most people do make ones or knit front and back. I didn't feel like doing either one of those on this project, so I decided to just go ahead and do the yarn overs. So I got my cord all over, and I'm not doing magic loop on this. I'm basically just running the full circle. I know where it starts and stops because that's where my yarn comes out. My tail will always come out at the beginning of the round, so I don't have to worry too much in that regard. I do knit when I knit color work. I always drop my yarns. I do not hold both yarns at the same time. I know they say that that's not good on the tension, but I've made it work for me. So as long as it works for me, that's what matters when I'm doing the project. I also run parallel lines in my color work, so my yarns don't twist as I'm going, because I really don't want twisty yarn and have to do the untwist, and it's just a lot. Yarn management is not so easy. I put in 2 colors and I was supposed to only put 1 in that particular section. My colored yarn is always on the top, and my base yarn is always on the bottom when I'm doing it, so that I don't have any twists. They do a really, really nice parallel as they go, and so it works out really nice. And I'm really liking basically how the sweater's coming about. I do have an announcement that I will be making, in the fact that going forward, we won't be doing the silhouette projects on camera. I had a long discussion with my husband about it yesterday, and it's not because I don't want to do the projects. I will be doing the projects. I just won't be doing the projects on camera. Okay, hold on a minute. Okay, my dog jumped up on the back of the couch, and it opened up the blinds, and I had a big glare on the camera, so I had to get her down. She seems to think that she deserves to live up above my head, and she's getting older now, and we're trying to break her of that because we don't want her hurting herself trying to get down. She's very careful now when she gets down. She doesn't just jump down, so we're trying to keep her so she doesn't get any injuries, because my babies are my babies. They're just like kids to me. You can't take my babies away from me. It doesn't work in this household. My husband knows better, and so do my kids. And that's the dogs. They get their special treatment every day. The little dog, she jumps up on the little table right next to me and spends a bunch of time up there giving me kisses and loves. And she comes to get her scratchies. She's a scratchy fanatic. She loves her chest scratched. It's the only way I was able to get her to bond with me, in the sense of she came from Puerto Rico. She was a real puppy when she was, and they had found her on the streets. And when we got her, she was only 13 weeks old. About 13 weeks. And as I talk about her, she's now got a little barky thing going on, but I think she's fine. I have the front door open because it gets enough light in here, as well as it's nice and cool right now here in Florida. It's in the high 70s, low 80s today. And so because of that, it will be very nice temperature-wise here, and I have had my doors open for the last couple days and not had to run my air conditioner. In other words, saving myself a little money on our power bill. But also it's just beautiful, and it's nice to open the house up after the summer of not being able to open it up and having the air running 24/7. We don't have that going on anymore, so it makes it really nice for us when we are working on saving some money during this time as we're going through some changes and waiting for Social Security to get done. I did get a letter from my attorney letting me know that the reconsideration has been filed with Social Security. It will take anywhere from 60 to, I think he said 120 days, so 2 to 6 months basically. And that's a long time. That's a long time to wait. So it's just a matter of waiting. I mean, 6 months, we've already been going at this for 7.5. So we're right at about the same amount what this next phase will do. It's just kind of frustrating on the fact that it is kind of hard to judge and to determine what's going to happen next, right? Because we're like on a holding pattern till we can figure out what comes next, right? And that's where we're at. So we are going to be, I found an article that on the Craft Yarn Council, and I really thought it was perfectly appropriate for the projects that we're working on right now. So and how yarn crafts can help you and why they're good for you, okay? I know we've read a couple different articles on this subject, or at least one. I think it was on Diamond Art Club and different things as to why diamond painting is, right? Well, knitting and crocheting have the same kind of effects to it. And I am going to read this little tiny little blurb on knitting better lives. Okay, so it says knitting is being used all over the world to help people knit themselves into better places. Yarn Alive is a knitting group in Saskatchewan, Japan, or no, Shikigama, Japan, that has knit together since the earthquake and tsunami in 2011. The members all lost their homes in a disaster. Knitting Behind Bars teaches prisoners to knit in the pre-release unit in Jessup, Maryland. The inmates knit for charity. Project Knit Well provides knitting lessons to people undergoing stressful situations. So volunteers currently teach in the hospital settings in the Washington, D.C. area. So they're going in and helping people through stressful situations, right? And it really does. It keeps my stress level down. If I'm knitting and doing some kind of craft throughout the day, I get less chance of getting irritated. It keeps me calm, keeps me relaxed, and I don't have anything to complain about, right? Wounded Warrior Knitting Wednesdays. On Ravelry.com gives knitting lessons to family members of wounded warriors and staff in the lobby of the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Okay? And then you have Knitamorphous. Is Karen Zia Hayes, a Toronto life coach, also offers knitting therapy programs as part of her practice in Toronto, Ontario, including Knit to Quit, a smoking cessation intervention, Knit to Heal for individuals and families dealing with health crises, and corporate wellness for stressed out workers. So that's just a little blurb of the different kind of charities that are out there. I believe fully and honestly in whatever kind of charity that brings knitting supplies or warmth to homeless, or helping the veterans, finding ways to help veterans um, come back and live normal lives, or as normal of a life as they can live, right? Because they really don't have normal lives. When they've been wounded, their whole world has been turned upside down, okay? They've lost limbs, or whatever the issue is. It's very traumatic for some of our soldiers out there in the front lines. So remember about our soldiers, and remember about like the homeless people. If you're bidding a bunch of stuff and you don't have anything to do with it, find a donation place in your town. If you start looking around your town, you're going to find a charity that's going to help get needed supplies out to the homeless, okay? So that's really important, right? We want to make sure that we get things out to the homeless so that they can be warm, right? It's just as important here in Florida as it is in any other state, okay? It's just as important for me to start doing more of that. And I think I'm going to start doing a hat a month or something that I can do and donate to the homeless, or donate to something once a year. I'll go through. And if anybody else is interested in any knitting or crocheting, and I'll probably do knitting and crocheting of hats, because they're two different styles. They look different. It just really depends on what you want to do, right? So I always want to make sure that I'm giving the best that I can give in quality to somebody. And so I want to help people. And why not best help people by donating goods that I've made, right? Helping people who need help. Getting hats out there to people who can't afford to go get a hat to keep their head warm, you know? Or what about those kids that are homeless, you know? Think about those kids. If you think about your children, right? Or even your grandchildren. I always associate everything back to my grandchildren, only because my children are grown, and I don't need to do anything for them. They're very self-sufficient. They can craft, they can do all of that stuff and still enjoy their lives, right? And my son is very crafty. He's very much into the yarn arts and drawing arts. He's a fantastic artist. My son is just, oh, he's just a phenomenal artist. And you know, even if your kids aren't around you all the time as they've grown up or whatever, you still think about your children every day. I don't know any mother who goes a day without thinking about their children, right? I have 2 children out there that are very self-sufficient, are married, or doing whatever they need to do in their lives, and they're doing well for themselves. I heard that I'm hoping is the good stuff for my daughter is that she's helping other survivors of losing a spouse or losing someone. So she's kind of helping in the grief area. I hope that's something that she's really doing. I hope she's giving back, and that she's found some kind of peace within herself, so that she can move on and live a good life. She's got 4 children to think about. One lives with her. Her oldest daughter lives with her. Her older son lives with his father in California. And I just put those in the wrong spot. Sorry about that. Her son lives with his father, the oldest son. And then my other 2 grandchildren, they live with their dad's great-grandmother, and she takes care of them. My daughter could not take care of my grandchildren properly. I will not give my daughter any credit when it comes to her younger babies. She doesn't have a whole lot of credit coming to her for bigger babies either. She doesn't want the kids until they're older. Not sure why, but she makes sure that they really just... I just did the same thing over again. The exact same thing I just did. And messed it up. Okay, let's start this whole section over, okay? Sorry about that. Yep, it happens. We make mistakes, we frog. And this is kind of what happens when you don't completely pay attention to your knitting. It's not that I'm not paying attention to my knitting, because I am paying attention to my knitting. I just did the same thing twice. And it's that simple. If you catch it, it's that simple to fix. Okay? Also, I'm going to make some changes to the channel. In the way that you see videos. I'm going to start doing some designing and, you know, kind of going through my process that you can learn as I learn. So we'll go through the process together on learning to design. The first one we're working on is designing a shawl from start to finish. I put in a lot of work on that, and we're gonna start doing our designing videos, and we will be doing designing videos on a regular basis. We will be doing knitting and crochet design on Fridays now. So our lineup will be as follows, okay? I want to make sure that we're all on the same page of what the lineup is going to look like. I got to get this yarn over in here. There we go. And I want to kind of give you an idea of what changes are being made and why. So normally I have been doing silhouette projects on Wednesdays. Currently, the way I have things set up in my office, it's not set up right for me to be able to, for one, get all the prep work done for it, because silhouette, I have to make 2 of them. I have to make 2 of everything, basically. And I have to be able to have each of those things in different order so you can see them. So it is not just cut it and put it together, okay? I did do that on some of them, and that was really the only way that I have a good way of setting up to do that right now. I'm hoping that... I know I can do screen catching, and I will start doing some of that with my... I will be doing some of that on the channel when we're doing our regular everyday things. Okay, so our Fridays will now be for designing of some sort. First one we're designing from start to finish is a shawl. I have been working on them, so I will be talking to you more on this in the video on Friday. This video that you're seeing now will be happening on, I don't know if it's going to be happening on that. Let me think. No, we're not going to be doing anything different on our channel for Fridays. We'll be doing on Tuesday is going to be our is cross stitch with me. And it may not always be that we're doing cross stitch. I may just do tell you about the things that I'm working on and where I'm at and whips and chats and all those kind of things. And I think that's where we're going to kind of morph the cross stitch into. I will still do cross stitching with you on the channel, just not every time. It is a difficult video to do because of the way it has to be set up and the camera and everything and where everything sits in order for me to be able to do the actual project. So we will just kind of wing it on Tuesdays, and we'll see what we're coming up, what we're doing. So Tuesdays will still be dedicated to cross stitch. Okay, it's going to be cross stitch Tuesday, and I think I'm going to change it to Come Knit With Me, and I'm just going to call it Cross Stitch Tuesday. I'm going to call it Designing Friday, Knitting and Crochet on Wednesday, and Thursday's Diamond Painting. Okay, so I'm just going to name them like that. I'm going to take them down. I don't know. I think come knit with me or crochet with me. I kind of like it, but I also see that it's a little longer to get to and other stuff. Okay, it's a simple fix. I can fix it, no big deal. So that's what we're going to be doing. We will be taking the silhouette out for now. Doesn't mean we won't bring it back. You'll still get your 4 videos. We're just not going to do stuff from the silhouette right away. I need to do some changes and to reorganize the way I have it so that it's more efficient to be able to set up for filming a project on the silhouette. The problem is that sometimes I really need to have something that I can kind of look down, but yet you can look at me at the same time as a video and do a split window maybe. I've just got to figure out which way is going to be the best way to do this. So give me a few days to work, a few months to work on that. That won't probably come back until after the holidays are over. And it won't come back as a permanent thing. It will come back and we'll do it one at a time here and there, do something if we need to change it or whatever, but we won't be doing that on a regular basis. I will use that as a filler if I have something special I want to do and show on camera, because there are some things that I plan to do in the future with the silhouette that will come into play under that, as well as I'm going to be adding a, what is it? Let me make sure I'm right before, yeah, okay. I'm actually doing the butterfly, so I'm not doing the main repeat that goes around 22 times. I'm just trying to get through the butterfly section. Once I'm done with the butterfly section, this will go much faster and it will look much nicer. So I'm just going to get this in real quick. It is 3 stitches, 2, 3, and then I have 2, 4, 6. 6 of these. I'm just going to go through this real quick, so if you just bear with me for just a second, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm doing 6 of the colored. Oh, this one is just the base color, okay? So I just have to go through and do my knitting on this. This follows the exact same pattern as below for these particular ones. And, oh shoot, I need to go back. I've got to... So here's one thing, okay? This is a trick that I can teach you real quick here. Okay, so when you're doing color work, you only want to carry your yarn no more than 5 stitches, okay? So if you're doing something that is more than 5 stitches, this one's 6, and because it's 6, I want to go back a couple stitches and just twist this so that it has a continuous pull, and I'm not pulling it from so far behind, and I'm actually keeping that yarn in a respectful place that's easy to grab. So like next time when I come up and this one's only 5, and actually there won't be a 5 because this is the end of this particular line on the pattern. So now this is my middle section. These are the little antennae that are down on the bottom, and it kind of finishes the last of the design. The rest will all be done with the butterfly, okay? So the butterfly will just be butterfly. We won't have the antennae anymore. And once again, I'm just going to do a quick twist. Even though it's 5, I went ahead and did it just because it is the butterfly, and I kind of want to make sure that I get a good pull on that. And then one other thing, and let me do this stitch real quick and I'll show you. And I do it all the time, and I do it out of habit, but I take my yarn and I pull it so that I make sure that I've got a good, nice tight, and that it's not going to stretch, right? And that I don't have something that's going to tug. The biggest problem when you're doing this is getting it to bunch up, and it kind of looks bunchy right now, but once it's been washed and laid out, it will be fine. Okay, and there's this one section right here where I'd had it split, right here, and it's a little loose right there, but that's where I had it split, and I can go fix that, okay? And I can show you later how to fix that once we get back to it. I will look at it when the whole sweater's done, and if it's just that little bit and it's really not affecting the pattern much, then I won't worry about it. So it's really, does it affect the pattern? Is it making the pattern feel wrong? Is something else happening that I don't want to happen? Those are the things you have to ask yourself when you're as you're going along and as you're coming up with the various things that you will be doing. So you want to make sure that everything is really just like on point, right? And if it's on point and you're keeping your tension right, you're going to be just fine, okay? And just remember that. Don't be scared of color work, okay? I was scared to try it. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be hard. I heard people telling me I need to do this, and if you're doing it, these are another things you need to do. And I was thinking to myself, man, that's a lot to have to try to remember, right? I don't want to have to remember all of that. And so you can do that, right? And that's some of the advantages that there are to being able to see other people on YouTube and hear other people's experiences and let other people know that, I used to be scared to start color work. And I know I need to practice my color work enough to where I can hold both my yarns at the same time. It will really do wonders for my tension, I'm sure. However, let's see. I'm trying to make sure I'm right. 3, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Okay. And these are the last stitches for this design, and then I'll go back to the regular scheduled program. Here we go. Now we're back to this. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this article. And the article is from Craft Yarn Council, and it's called The Truth About Knitting and Crochet. ... Okay? They are good for you. Think about it. Are they good for you? Okay, so let's see what this has to say. How knitting can improve your mood, mind, and body. Okay? So this is an excerpt that says, is knitting therapeutic? Heck yeah, it is. It's a proven scientific fact, just like we know chocolate and red wine are good for us. Since turning my life over to yarn, I've talked to thousands of knitters who claim it's cured everything from gout to their weight problems. I can't speak of all the cures, but it can certainly improve one's mental health. I know it helps mine. So when I quit smoking, I always had a knitting project in my hand. It was one of the only ways I could do it. Okay? At the time that I quit smoking, I had just learned to knit. I have not been a knitter for long. I'm talking maybe 5 years, okay? So I haven't been a knitter for that long in the process. So we just want, and that's the wrong color. Now see, that's the only thing is you got to pay attention to what you're doing, right? If you're not paying attention, then you're missing something. So it does help. So says Clara Parks, author of the just-released book, The Yarn Whisperers, Reflection of a Life in Knitting. Okay, that might be a good book to get. I think I might look into that book. And founder and publisher of knittersreview.com. Personal testimonies, anecdotes, evidence, and medical studies all back up Clara Parks' claims. In 2007, Renee Maggie was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Ooh, that's a difficult one. Okay? The disease affects the central nervous system, and she describes the experience of her illness as being like pregnancy brain, only it doesn't go away. That's a good thing for fibromyalgia, too. That's a good saying for it. I always had that problem. I never had to leave reminders for myself. I never had to do any of those things. Now, anything I have to do, I have to have a reminder on my watch. Siri gives me my reminders and tells me when it's time to do my various things on a daily basis. And so we always have to do what makes us better. So Maggie has a secret weapon in her health arsenal, knitting needles. I found that it's really good for the brain to work on something where you have to focus, says the 36-year-old knitter. You're following through on something and you're following a pattern. It's a mental exercise. Yeah, it really is a mental exercise because I have to not only work on my pattern here that's on my iPad, but I'm also reading an article at the same time. It's something you have to concentrate on. But with practice, it's an easy thing to get used to, okay? Maggie is not alone in her assessment of the craft's palliative effects on the mind. Knitting has been called the new yoga for good reason. Famous for its relaxing meditative qualities, knitting increasingly is being used in hospitals, clinics, schools, and even prisons to help people lead healthier, happier lives. And there's data to prove it. So when you say that knitting and crochet is healthy for your life and can be a healthy advantage to making your life better, then you're not lying because you have scientific proof behind it, right? I hope they tell us about the scientific proof. I'm really interested in this. And I really want to be able to use my crafts kind of as a way to keep my mind active, even though I'm not working anymore. I am a very smart, intelligent person. I've done a lot of things in my life. I have a very high IQ. It's really hard to just kind of sit and not do anything at all in my life. So therefore, this channel gives me a little purpose. Makes me want to do something every day. I got up this morning, and got dressed. My husband's going, "You're getting dressed all right?" "Yep, today's a face-to-face video." And he goes, "Oh, I get it now. Okay, have fun on your video. Enjoy." And I do my videos when he's sleeping in the mornings. And that's a perfect way to go, right? So, let's see what the next excerpt, and I don't know who this is from. It's from Gat, I think, so we'll see. Knitting saved my life, says Lyat Gat. Okay, it is Gat. Lyat, who runs the video instruction, knitfreedom.com. Admitted to a client in her 20s with a full-blown eating disorder, Gat, a lapsed knitter, started stitching again when the facility's craft volunteer came around with yarn and needles. Okay, so, you may get it. You're pushed to going back into something else from a different place than you think you're going to, right? It's always different, right? Soon, she had countless projects going on and was helping other women fix their mistakes. And within weeks, she was out of the clinic and working at a yarn shop. Gat's experience of knitting her way out of an eating disorder has scholarly precedence. A 2009 study published in the journal Eating and Weight Disorders showed that 38 women with anorexia nervosa were taught to knit and given free access to knitting supplies. They reported significant improvements, and an impressive 74% said knitting lessened their fears and kept them from ruminating about their eating disorders. Excuse me. 74% launched the calming aspects of the craft, and 53% said it provided satisfaction as a sense of accomplishment. So there's more ways that knitting can help you. It can help you by lessening your stress. It can help you by overcoming issues in your life. It can help you in a lot of ways. It really can. So, Gat's experience of knitting her way out of an eating disorder has scholarly precedence. Okay, we read that. Okay. I didn't have a job. I had extra time, Gat explained of her recovery. There's something to be said about filling your time with projects you care about. Okay. So another thing is that if you have something you care about, you're going to put the time into it, right? It's just like me and my knitting, right? Or my projects, right? I do diamond painting. I do cross stitch. I do crochet. I do knitting. I work on the silhouette. I make my own t-shirts. What more can I say, right? But it keeps me busy, right? It makes sure that I'm doing good. So Maggie, who along with her husband owns Airship Printing, a screen printing business in Castle Rock, Colorado, has created a line of... Okay, the dogs saw something outside, not sure what, but I think I've got them quiet. Sorry if there's any more. I'll turn off the video if they start again. I have the door open so they do see outside. The lab likes to get up on the edge of the couch and look out the window, and that's exactly what she was doing. So I've stopped her from that, and now she's being good, I think, hopefully. Okay, I almost made that mistake again. I'm really lucky in the sense that I'm able to remember at least part of my knitting patterns that I'm working on. If it's much more than 8 to 10 stitches, then I have to reread it usually and back and forth a couple times. But in this instance, it's going really well. So, Castle Rock, Colorado has created a line of goods under the brand Nerd Shop. Nerdshop.com that includes t-shirts, bags, stickers that read, "I knit so I don't kill people." I have a cup that says that. My mom got it for me at Stitches. It's a nice, cool little ceramic cup. It's a hand done. You can tell that it's been spun. And it's all been handmade. And it does say that. I knit so I don't kill people. So maybe I met this Maggie person. I don't know. She was that. No, I didn't go over to that booth. My mom did. She brought it back and surprised me with it because she knows how much knitting is to me. And how important it is to my life. My mom has always made sure that at different times I had craft supplies that I may need because she knows it's part of a therapeutic thing for me. I now have as many craft supplies and as many yarns as I really could find and want, right, at this point. Back in the day when I was a single mom and it was tough, you know, my mom helped me out. My parents were always there, always helped me, great people. And so she knew how much important all of my crafts are to me. She's seen me many years go through this, and because of the crafts, I'm still here today, okay? So it helped me through some really rough times. I wasn't knitting at the time, I was crocheting at the time. Knitting or crocheting is still all the same. It all goes back to the same thing. So, through the sentiment, though the sentiment is amusing, it carries an element of truth. Knitters ascribe all manner benefits. Okay, knitters ascribe all manner of benefits to their craft that include everything from alleviating depression, anxiety, and pain to reducing boredom and the discomfort effects of isolation. Okay, so there's a lot right there that a lot of people go through and have gone through during the, panoramic, because we can't really say that real word anymore. But all manner of benefits to their crafts that include everything from alleviating depression, anxiety, and pain to reducing boredom and the discomforts affected with isolation. Do you know how many people picked up diamond painting and knitting needles and crochet hooks and started to craft during the panorama? A lot. A real lot. Okay? It's kind of rejuvenated some of the arts. Some of the old arts are coming back, you know? And that's good. That's really awesome to see. It's awesome to see us going back to more of a life where handmade knits and handmade crochet and handmade stuff made a difference. Made people want to go buy hand stuff. You know, I know how many times I participated in craft shows. Not as a participant. I never sold my own stuff, but I like to go to the craft shows. I get a lot of ideas from craft shows, right? I can come back with a whole list of things to start doing by the time I'm done with the craft show. My husband we've not done any real craft shows. We've gone through the fair crafts and stuff like that, and he knows how much this all means, and it means the world to me. And the support that he gives me also means the world, okay? So you have to remember, it's not just this, but it's the people around you also that support you and allow you to have the ability to do these kind of things, right? If I didn't have a husband that mattered, I would not want to continue working, right, on what I'm doing. And so I don't have to worry about that these days. So Meredith Keaton, 32, knits to combat the loneliness she experiences when forced to stay home because of her rheumatoid arthritis. Yeah. They've thought I've had that for a long time, and they test me for it all the time, and it's not there. Yeah. It's definitely fibromyalgia. There's nothing else going on. They've done every test on the live. So anyways, there's a lot of times that I have to be at home, right? I'm not able to work. I'm not able to go out into the workforce and work. I just can't do it. My body can't make the 60 hours anymore. Yes, I said 60 hours. I am an accountant and I am a manager, so 60 hours comes about right with that. It's the normal within this industry. And I am not ashamed to be part of it, right? Because that's important for my livelihood and for my life. So one of the benefits of knitting for me is that because rheumatoid arthritis is an isolating condition, I can't be as social or get out as often as I like. I'm often stuck at home by myself. Knitting gives me something productive to do with my time. It's definitely good stress relief and helps keep my anxiety in check. Pretty cool, huh? Hold on. Okay, so I think she's finally calmed down again. Cast on and calm down is the next one. So 23 years ago, knitting filled the time for Carla Caprosa, whose infant daughter was born with congenital heart defects. Captive in waiting rooms and by her daughter's bedside for weeks at a time, she couldn't bear to watch TV, but a friend gave her a hand-knit baby sweater. Caprosa, former knitting, thought, that is what I'm going to do. And so she went on to say, my daughter would have these really long surgeries, 8 or 9 hours, and I would just sit there and knit. It was so calming. Okay, so, you know, it helps in so many ways. So many ways. In ensuing years, Caprosa felt a need to give back. Her daughter was thriving, so she returned to the pediatric intensive care unit at MedStar Georgetown University Hospital, where her daughter had been a patient, volunteering to teach parents and older children to knit. Her teaching gained a following, and she expanded her work to the hospital's neonatal intensive care unit and incorporated her program as a nonprofit project, Knit Well. In 2010, 2 Georgetown oncology nurses, stressed out by their jobs and graduate school, decided to use Project Knitwear for their thesis project. Personally aware of the incredible strain and loss oncology nurses experience, Lindsay Anderson and Christina Uroso wondered whether knitting might mitigate some of the burnout or compassion fatigue these nurses experienced. Oh, that was wrong. Hold on. Let's go back. I missed a stitch. I missed 2 stitches. I forgot the yarn over. Okay, now see, the one thing is if I do for some reason miss a yarn over, when I am doing my next row back, I will catch it. Okay, so I'll know that I need to bring in a yarn over, right? And so that's a quick way to fix a missing yarn over. Okay. The grad students administered a survey to the nurses that measured burnout at 2 junctures: before learning to knit and 13 weeks after they had learned to work. They had been working with Project Knit Well volunteers. I need to grab my yarn. It's like in a knot. For some reason, where it rolled, it does not. It just wants to keep coming out all tangled. Right, there we go. Let's just pull that ball out. There we go. Okay, now we're good. I finally got the ball out. Okay, so let's get back with our article because we're almost done for the day. Anecdotally, we knew everyone on the unit was suffering, Anderson said. Nobody was doing fine. Indeed, all 39 nurses who participated showed some degree of a compassion fatigue in the before test. So they did do a before and after test on this, okay? So they did that's been proven a lot of ways. This is interesting. I'm glad we got to read this, right? Each nurse was taught to cast on and knit. In addition, Project Knitwell volunteers appeared regularly on the oncology units to fix mistakes and assist them in choosing new projects. Should they want to progress, knit kits were also stashed on the oncology floor so nurses could knit spontaneously. The results were significant. Everyone's burnout scores improved, especially the nurses who were the most burnt out prior to the study. In answers to open-ended questions, nurses extolled the soothing rhythm of knitting and distraction from the work-related fatigue. Though the sample was small, it's enough to convince hospital administrators to add Project Knitwell to its staff enrichment programs, as well as provide sessions to graduating nurses. That's cool. Look at that. I got goosebumps from that one. That is so cool. I might think about I'm not going to do it right now. I got too much on my plate right now, but that might be something I could do in the future. It might be fun, okay? So, oncology's nurses really have nothing tangible to show for their work because at the end of the day, their patients are still suffering, explains Anderson, who's now a family nurse practitioner in the hospital's or Buntsman Breast Cancer Center. But if you have something artistic to work on, it does give you some sense of accomplishment. Use it or lose it. Common wisdom has that if the brain games common wisdom has it that brain games like crossword puzzles and Sudoku may help your brain sharpen up over time. But what about 2 sharp sticks and some yarn? Jonas Gita, associate professor of neurology at the psychiatry at the Mayo Clinic in Arizona, published a study in spring 2011 edition of the Journal on Neuropathy and Clinical Neurosciences that validated crafters of all stripes. His research showed that people who engage their minds in reading books, playing games, or crafting has a decreased risk of mind cognitive impairment and possible precursor to Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. The study suggests that engaging in certain types of mental stimulating acts, Gita said, is associated with decreased risk of cognitive impairment. Okay. I think we're going to stop at the end of this section. We'll start why knitting tomorrow, but let's finish up this section and we'll get our video come to an end because it is a long one. But I think it's super important that we read this. I really do. So the study looked at 1,321 adults ages 70 to 89, 197 of whom had been identified as already having mild cognitive impairment. Both normal and cognitive impaired groups were surveyed about their activities within the last year. Okay. The study demonstrated that using the brain might prevent losing it. The data showed that the computer use of playing games, crafting, reading books, and watching less TV resulted in striking 30 to 50% decrease in odds of having mild cognitive impairment. Okay, that's good to know, right? Though the study didn't examine exactly how these activities might protect the brain, it did reference other works suggesting that mentally active people overall might live healthier lifestyles. Maybe exercise and eating better or the cognitive activity might promote the development of the new neural pathways or cognitive reserves. In other words, staying mentally active through knitting and reading, etc., make deposits to the individual brain bank. This can possibly buffer against Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. Some people are normal when they die, but show a neurological burden during autopsy. Gita says they have cognitive reserves. One of the theories is that engaging in mental activities stimulates the development of these cognitive reserves. Wow. That's pretty powerful saying, isn't it? I think it's pretty powerful myself. Yeah. It can really help you then, right? So, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave them down in the comments below. If you want to be part of the Sunset Girl Creates family, we would love to have you a part of that family. All you need to do is subscribe on the button below. And if you want to know every time we upload a video, you can check that down there. We'd love to get some likes on here. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you don't, you can give us a thumbs down, but please let us know in the bottom below with constructive criticism as to why you didn't like the video. And with that said, I want to thank you all for coming and wishing you a happy, happy Wednesday. Bye-bye.